The mind can play tricks on you when you play chess, which can prevent you from seeing tactics that are already there waiting to happen if you could only see them. In this next example, we're going to be looking at a tactic called clearance. The way to find tactics is to first look at the most forcing moves of the game, which are checks and captures. It's black's turn to move. Now let's look at the checks. Well, let's see. You could first go, the knight could come here with check, but the pawn is defending that square, so the knight would be captured. And then you want to look through the obstacles that your mind is placing in front of you. And you could see that if the queen weren't here, the knight would be able to actually check the king here as well. Knights usually, if they're away from the wing, usually have two checks. That if they can have one check, they usually can check from the other side. And so that's the problem. And the interesting thing, if you notice, there's a fork, which you learned about earlier, which was another tactic. So the knight would come here and check the king and could possibly win the queen. Tactical opportunities are temporary advantages, which means you have to act very quickly. And you have to do it with force. Otherwise, your opponent will have time to change the position and get out of the danger that he's in. The other evaluation that you should always make before you move is to look at which pieces are already being attacked, because those are opportunities for very forcing moves, which might lead to winning material. So, I'm not going to give you any more hints just yet. I would like you to pause the video and try and figure out a way to achieve our dream position here, which is the knight here, and try and gain something in the process. Spend some time, a few minutes, and try and find the winning combination. So pause the video. Okay, I'm assuming you've paused the video and looked for the winning tactic. And let's see, did you notice that the queen is already attacking this rook? So that would be the most forcing way to move the queen from that square, which would allow the knight, again, to come here and check. So that is the first move. Queen takes rook. Now, if white tries to get out of this, he may see that and move the queen or move the king. Well, black has already won a rook, because we started out with, each side started out with two rooks and a knight and a queen. They were even in material, but now white is down material, so he has to either take the queen and suffer the consequences and see how he might turn out. But we throw the check in first. The king has to run. We take the knight, and now the king is actually, now there's a big decision actually for white. He could either move the rook or take the knight. But either way, he's down a piece, because you notice 3 against 2. So by breaking down a position and looking at all checks and captures, whether or not those squares are defended or the pieces defended or not, as it was earlier here, the rooks were defending each other here, so your mind might think, well, I can't take that rook. Just look a little bit further and you'll see that maybe an opportunity is there waiting to happen, and you can look for these in your own games. Now proceed to tactic number 11, called trapping.